I loved Adrian with every breath of my heart for 6 years, and he answered me, always stingy with syllables. Oh, ah. At his birthday party I became the laughingstock of every friend he owned. He only minded that they were noisy, killing his fun. In that instant the scales fell from my eyes. I deleted him and vanished without a trace. He thought it was a tantrum, but my mother was already gleefully forwarding me the WhatsApp of the Hand of God at Summit Medical. Later, while my new love and I were lost in each other, the untouchable king knelt under rain in front of my building, eyes bloodshot. Serena, I was wrong, come back. I tucked my arm through the man holding the umbrella for me, looked at the miserable figure, and smiled. Sorry, Mr. Cross, who are you again? Before we go on, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. Chapter 1, Heart Death. Adrian's birthday, the most decadent VIP lounge in the city. Lamplight dizzy, booze thick enough to swim in. I hugged the fondant cake I'd made myself and stood in a corner like an uninvited alien. On the cake sat his company's logo and a tiny figure in a racing suit, 3 all-nighters of mine. He never even glanced at it. Adrian was wedged in the center sofa, tall frame swallowed by leather, shaking the dice cup with boyish glee. He wore the charcoal turtleneck I'd chosen, the color sharpened the chill in his brows. Those knuckles, sculpted and spare, played the game with ease, yet answering my texts was beneath him. 6 years. I'd been a tireless sentinel guarding a love that existed in name only. My phone buzzed. I had written, I'm here, at the door, 5 minutes ago. He answered now, one word. I hooked a mocking smile, my heart felt dunked in ice water, numb and cold. A man named Chase, Adrian's lifelong shadow and professional heckler, staggered over, face flushed, and slung an arm around Adrian. Tongue thick, gaze sharp, he pinned me with open ridicule. Serena, I'm telling you, chasing a guy the way you do? Exhausting. Look at our Adrian, iceberg, baby. Bothering to answer costs him energy. The lounge exploded in laughter. Needles, thousands of them, stabbed ears, stabbed heart. I fastened my eyes on Adrian, begging for a flicker of defense. A frown, a flash of displeasure. He did frown. But at Chase, he shrugged the arm off, irritation clipping his voice. You talk too much. Not protection, just annoyance at the noise. In that second I heard something inside me shatter beyond repair. The camel's back never breaks from the last straw. It breaks from years of cold neglect taken for granted. I hugged the heavy cake and found it suddenly ridiculous. What had I clung to for 6 years? The hope he'd finally see my worth? Or the theater of convincing myself? I watched his profile return to the revelry as if I were air. A one-woman show really can drag on that long. And it really can look that pathetic. Slowly, I set the painstaking cake on an unvisited side table, laid beside it the gift I'd brought. A limited edition Patek Philippe I'd saved half a year to buy. Now, nothing more than a punchline. I straightened my spine, turned, and walked out of the lounge that had swallowed every scrap of my dignity. Nobody noticed. Adrian least of all. The corridor was so quiet I could hear my own heart knocking, hollow, numb. I leaned against the cold wall and opened my phone. 6 years top chat thread glowed. My monologues, his 3-word repertoire. Oh, ah. I smiled, tears slipped anyway. Goodbye, Adrian. I pressed his black avatar, held, tapped delete contact. Alert, deleting Adrian will erase all chat history. I tapped confirm without hesitation. 6 years of youth, fed to a stray dog. Consider it a grand, secret, self-send-off. Chapter 2, New Birth. Back in the empty apartment, I finally shed my armor. Tears snapped their string, rolling hard. I hugged my knees on the icy floor and sobbed until I tasted iron. I wept for 6 years of love ground into dust. For every unseen effort. For the version of me who lost everything. When my throat was ash and my eyes dry, I braced against the wall and rose. The stranger in the mirror, bloated lids, bloodless cheeks. Was that really me? Wrecking myself for someone who never cared, worth it? No, not one damned bit. I went to the bedroom and yanked the closet open. Half the rail was his shirts. I tore them down, one after another, cramming them into a black contractor bag. Shirts, ties, cologne. On the bookshelf, our only photo, my radiant grin, his blank stare. Frame and all, it followed the rest into the bag. I laughed at the joke it had become. An hour later every trace of Adrian sat on the curb downstairs. When the last bag thudded into the dumpster I felt hollow, and light as air. The next morning my ringtone dragged me up. Mom. Her voice cannonballed through the speaker before I croaked hello. Serena. You finally dumped that crossboy, didn't you? I hesitated, hoarse. Mom, how did you know? How? You used to spam Instagram with him. 2 days of silence and I smelled breakup. I said nothing. Instead of comfort, she crackled with glee. Best news ever. I never liked that frozen statue pretending to be emperor. Listen, plenty of fish, no hanging from one rotten tree. I've got your next one lined up. Nephew, chief of cardio at Summit, Dr. Wentworth. 30, brilliant, gorgeous, steady as a rock. I've already sent his WhatsApp and photo. Coffee tomorrow, look stunning. She hung up before I could protest. I stared at the contact card and picture she'd fired off. White coat, sunlit office, calm eyes that actually looked at the camera. He wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, his features refined, his temperament gentle, a faint, almost invisible smile playing at the corner of his lips. Truly, very handsome. At the same time, on the other side of the city, Adrian woke with a hangover splitting his skull. Out of habit, he groped for his iPhone, hoping to see an unread message from me. The screen was blank. He frowned, a restless irritation surging through him. This woman, her courage was growing. She actually dared to skip sending him a good morning text. He tapped open the chat window and typed a terse line. Stop this tantrum and come home. Send. A glaring red exclamation mark stabbed straight into his eyes. Message delivered, but rejected by recipient. Adrian's pupils contracted violently. She had deleted him? A nameless fire, laced with a panic he refused to acknowledge, shot straight to his head. Chapter 3, First Meeting. Sam, sunlight perfect. I sat in the cafe my mother had booked, stomach jittery. I'd chosen a cream linen dress and light makeup, trying to look alive, but the mirror still betrayed exhaustion under my eyes. Meet a total stranger, trade small talk. Could I actually do this? I almost bolted. Then a clear, warm male voice sounded above me. Hello, Serena? I looked up. He was even better looking than his photo. Plain white shirt, sleeves rolled to the elbow, forearms sculpted. Behind the gold-rimmed glasses his eyes were deep and calm as a mountain lake. A faint clean scent, disinfectant and lemongrass, clung to him. Dr. Wentworth. I stood awkwardly. Hi, that's me. He smiled, a spring breeze that swept my unease away. I'm Dr. Wentworth. He slid my chair out with effortless courtesy. Sorry, I came straight from surgery, bit late. No problem, I just got here myself, I said quickly. The waiter handed us menus. Still hesitating, I heard him order first. 1 oat milk latte and a slice of Cameron, please. I froze. Cameron is the signature mousse from my studio, raspberry and white chocolate. This cafe is one of my partners. How did he know? Reading my shock, he let a smile curve his eyes. I followed your studio for a long time. His voice was soft cello. Your desserts have soul. My heart gave a hard thump. Soul. No one had ever praised my work that way. Adrian never touched sweets. He called them cloying kid stuff, unworthy of attention. Yet this man, a perfect stranger, said my desserts had soul. Warmth trickled through the ice I'd carried for years. The blind date flowed, astonishingly easy. We talked, my pastries, his or shifts, films, music. He listened, eyes steady, nodding at the right beats. Talking to him felt like breathing. I discovered normal conversation could be effortless, nothing like speaking at Adrian's silent When we left, he walked me downstairs. As I turned, he called, Miss Hart. I looked back. Under the lamplight his shadow stretched long, smile gentle. Does your studio still take private orders? Yes. Wonderful. He looked down, tapped his phone. My iPhone pinged. A WhatsApp from him. Next time, I'd love to taste something you made with your own hands. A full sentence, punctuation perfect. 6 years, and this was the first message from a man longer than 10 words that brimmed with anticipation. My eyes stung for no reason. Chapter 4, Ripples. Adrian realized I had truly vanished. Calls bounced, WhatsApp blocked. He sent his assistant to Sugar Soul, open, but owner absent. He drove to my condo, rang until his finger hurt, silence. Irritation and disorientation crept in. A customary object had simply disappeared, insignificant yet suddenly, missing. No good morning, no good night, no carefully cooked meals. His life slid into chaos for the first time. At Cross, Chase still ribbed him. Adrian, your little shadow really flew the coop? 6 years, man, couldn't you toss her a crumb? Adrian's face stayed arctic, the joke stabbed louder than before. Yanking his tie, he dialed again. The number you have called is switched off. What the hell did she want? Play hard to get? Ridiculous. Yet the hollow in his chest mocked his bravado. That night, after a boozy dinner, he coasted to my building. He didn't get out, just lowered the window, lit a cigarette, eyes fixed on my dark window. Still not home. smoke curled, his expression blackened. As he shifted into drive, headlights swept in. A black Phaeton stopped at the entrance. Dr. Wentworth stepped out. Adrian's pupils shrank, then the passenger door opened. I emerged, laughing freely, an expression Adrian had never seen. Night wind tangled my hair. I lifted a hand. Before I could, Dr. Wentworth brushed the strands behind my ear, fingers grazing my cheek. I flinched almost imperceptibly, but didn't pull away. The gesture was intimate, reverent. Adrian's knuckles whitened on the wheel, veins bulging. Fury or jealousy, he couldn't tell, crashed over him like a rogue wave. He watched me say goodbye, watched me enter the lobby. Only after I vanished did Dr. Wentworth drive off. No grand display, just easy warmth, yet it seared Adrian like a branding iron. That woman, who should have been miserable without him, how dared she? How dared she smile like that? How dared she let another man touch her? Jealous flames roared in Adrian's eyes. Chapter 5, Caught. Adrian didn't even think. He shoved the car door open and lunged out. 2 strides became 1, and just as I was about to step into the elevator he seized my wrist. His grip was brutal, like he meant to grind the bones to powder. "Serena," his voice, thick with booze and fury, came out a raw rasp. The shock made me flinch. When I turned and saw his face, so dark it looked ready to drip, I was swamped by disgust. I yanked hard, trying to free myself, but I couldn't shake him off. "Let go of me." "What do you think you're doing?" My tone was ice. "Who is he?" Adrian's eyes bored into me, the eyes of a beast whose territory has been invaded. "What does that have to do with you?" I gave a cold laugh. "Mr. Cross, we're broken up." "Who I see is none of your business." "Broken up?" Adrian acted as though I'd told the joke of the century. Did I agree to that? His presumptuous arrogance turned my stomach. "Adrian, did you already forget? You left me on read with a red exclamation mark. You really think you get a vote?" My words were a blade sliding straight into his sore spot. His face went even uglier. "Serena, don't try to be clever with me. You know it won't work." He started dragging me toward the exit. Then a clear, steady voice rose behind us. "Let her go, sir." I turned. Dr. Wentworth had come back. He'd simply gone to park and pick up a bottle of steamed milk from the convenience store. Now he stood there, warm milk in hand, brows drawn tight, displeasure flickering in his eyes as he looked at Adrian's fingers around my wrist. Adrian glanced back and sized Dr. Wentworth up, hostility and scrutiny rolling off him. "And you are?" Dr. Wentworth ignored the taunt. He stepped forward and, without fuss, moved me behind him. His gaze settled on Adrian, calm, immovable. "Who I am doesn't matter. What matters is that Serena doesn't want to leave with you." He paused, courteous yet distant. "Kindly show some respect, sir." "Respect?" Adrian sneered. "She's mine." "Who are you to lecture me on respect? Yours?" Dr. Wentworth's frown deepened. He looked at me, a silent question. I stepped out from behind him and met Adrian's burning eyes. "Adrian, I'm saying this for the last time, we are done. Don't ever come near me again." Without another glance I turned to Dr. Wentworth. "Let's go upstairs." He nodded, handed me the steaming milk, and together we walked into the elevator. The door slid shut, sealing away Adrian's stunned, jealous, furious face. He stood in the lobby all night. The tip of his cigarette glowed, faded, glowed again, just like the chaos churning inside him. For the first time he tasted what it felt like to be utterly ignored. It tasted 10,000 times worse than he'd ever imagined. Chapter 6, Panic. Adrian started digging into Dr. Wentworth's background. The more he learned, the tighter the knot in his chest became. Dr. Wentworth, 30 years old, the youngest chief of cardiothoracic surgery at Summit Medical, the city's top public hospital. In the they called him the Hand of God. He'd published a stack of world-class papers. And then there was his family. The Wentworths were old academic nobility, his father a celebrated university president, his mother a national treasure artist. Dylan, spotless pedigree, modest manner, golden reputation in every circle. Flawless. From every angle the man was flawless. A colossal, unprecedented wave of crisis swamped Adrian. He had always assumed an ordinary woman like me could never land anyone better. Reality slapped him hard across the face. Panic set in. For the first time the fear of losing someone took root inside him. He began pursuing me with methods he once scorned. Next morning my studio received an enormous bouquet of midnight blue roses flown in from overseas. A card nestled among the petals carried Adrian's flamboyant scrawl, "Serena, don't be angry anymore. I told my assistant to toss the flowers, my face blank. On the third day he sent a full high jewelry suite by special courier. I refused delivery and had the courier take it straight back. On the fourth day he booked every dessert we made for an entire month, demanding daily delivery to Cross. I had accounting wire the money back and informed his people we were short-staffed and would not accept large orders for the next 4 weeks. Every gift he launched at me was swatted aside, clean, cold, final. It was like punching cotton, nowhere for the force to go. The helplessness was driving him insane. After countless rebuffs he finally let his pride drop for the first time in his life. That night a long text arrived from an unfamiliar number. "Serena, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have been cold, shouldn't have ignored everything you gave. At the birthday dinner I should never have let Chase and the others speak to you like that. These 6 years you did so much for me, I remember all of it. I'm not used to saying it. Come back, okay? I'll change anything you want. Serena, I was wrong. Please come back." I read the endless message, my heart a still pond. Where were you when I needed you? Where were you when I was humiliated in front of everyone? Now you say this? Too late. In this world mirrors don't rejoin after they shatter. There's only the same mistake, repeated. I stared at the text, expressionless. A flick of my finger and it was gone, deleted. The strange number followed it into the block list. Chapter 7, Warming. My dessert studio blew up overnight after a foodie blogger posted a rave. Orders snowballed, my small crew and I were racing nonstop. The nonstop grind finally caught up with me. That afternoon I was in the back kitchen assembling an elaborate wedding cake when everything went black. When I came to I was in the hospital, the sting of antiseptic making me wrinkle my nose. Awake? A gentle voice drifted over. I turned my head. Dr. Wentworth sat beside the bed, a chart in his hand. He laid it aside and pressed the back of his fingers to my forehead. Good, no fever. How did I get here? My voice came out thin. You passed out from low blood sugar, he explained. Lucky I showed up with afternoon tea and found you in time. Afternoon tea? My heart skipped. The doctor says you've been overworked and underfed. You need a few days of real rest, he added, the faintest scolding in his tone. I ducked my head, embarrassed. Thank you. No need for thanks between us. He smiled, stood, and poured a glass of warm water. Drink first. I asked the cafeteria to send up some congee. It should be here any minute. He looked after me with seamless care, adjusted the bed height, handed me the glass, even dabbed the corner of my mouth with a tissue while I drank. Those effortless, tender gestures filled my heart with slow, spreading warmth. Soon the nurse arrived with the congee. Dr. Wentworth lifted the lid, scooped up a spoonful, blew on it, and held it to my lips. Come on, Riley. My face flamed instant red. I can do it myself. You've still got an 4 in your hand, it's not convenient. His tone allowed no argument, but his eyes were gentle enough to drip warmth. I couldn't outstubborn him, so I awkwardly opened my mouth and let him feed me, spoonful by slow spoonful. The hospital suite was quiet. Only the clink of spoon against bowl broke the silence. Sunlight streamed through the window, settling over his handsome profile and gilding it in gold. Watching how focused and tender he was, my heartbeat sprinted faster. Something between us seemed to be shifting, quietly, and the whole scene was taken in by the person standing at the door. It was Chase. He'd come because he'd heard I was hospitalized, planning to scout for Adrian. He never expected to catch such a warm, blinding tableau. His eyes bulged in shock. Almost instinctively he tugged out his phone and snapped the shot. Then, as fast as his thumb could fly, he sent it to Adrian. In the photo Dr. Wentworth was bowed, gently feeding me congee. I was tipped slightly upward, my gaze flooded with a dependence and softness I didn't even know I felt. Far away in Cross's boardroom the instant Adrian saw it his pupils contracted like a fist. He stared at the screen, handsome face dark enough to wring water. A savage fury detonated in his chest. Crack. The iPhone in his hand fractured under the pressure, glass spider webbing. Chapter 8, Confrontation. Adrian bolted from the conference room like a madman. He floored the accelerator and tore through the city until the hospital doors loomed. When he materialized outside my suite, anger radiating off him in waves, Dr. Wentworth had just stepped out to take a call. I was propped against the headboard, lost in the view outside the window. Serena, a voice ground through clenched teeth yanked me back. I turned and saw Adrian. He wore a flawlessly cut bespoke suit, but his hair was mussed, and the usually calm depths of his eyes were shot through with blood-red streaks. He stalked toward me one step at a time, a cornered, enraged beast. That desperate for a man? Jealousy had knifed his voice sharp and twisted. I've been gone a few days and you've already rushed to the next bed? I looked at him coldly, finding him pitiful and ridiculous. Adrian, you're out of bounds. Out of bounds? He barked a laugh. 6 years, and that loses to a few days of his attention? Here it finally came, the sentence I'd foreseen for weeks. I met his gaze calmly, taking in the rage and jealousy warping his features. Then, word by word, clear and cruel, I spoke. Adrian, you've got it backward. His expression froze. I curved my lips in a mocking smile. It's not that his few days beat our 6 years. It's that his few days made me finally realize. I paused, meeting his unbelieving eyes, and drove the sharpest blade straight through his heart. Those 6 years weren't a relationship. They were me debasing myself. Adrian's body lurched, every trace of color drained from his face. You say what? His voice shook. I couldn't even be bothered to look at him again. Right then Dr. Wentworth finished his call and walked back in. Seeing the crackling tension and Adrian's predatory glare, he strode straight to my bedside, slipped off his white coat, and draped it gently over my shoulders, wrapping me up. The gesture was pure protection. Then he turned and stood between us, facing Adrian, calm. For the first time, warmth gone, his eyes were cold. Mr. Cross. His voice was quiet but rang like steel. Please don't harass my girlfriend inside my hospital. Girlfriend. The word slammed into Adrian like a bullet. He staggered back a step, fragments of something shattered shining in his stare. His lips parted, fighting for words. None came. Chapter 9, Regret. Adrian wandered out of the hospital like a ghost. I debased myself. My girlfriend. Those 2 sentences, poison-tipped knives, carved through his skull over and over, hacking at his proud heart. For the first time he tasted what it meant to have bones ground to dust. He locked himself in his office, not stepping out for an entire day. Memories stormed in uncontrollably. Every single thing I had done across those 6 years. His stomach was finicky, so I brewed soup after soup to coax it calm. He was a neat freak, so I kept the penthouse spotless. He craved silence, so I folded away my liveliness like winter clothes. He disliked me in the public eye, so I shuttered my thriving shop and shrank to a tiny online studio. All the devotion he had brushed off as routine now flickered through his mind frame by frame, each clip a slap across his face. He had always assumed my love was gravity, automatic. He had always assumed that no matter what, I would stay. He was wrong, monstrously wrong. Regret rose like a tide, a net without holes, and trapped him breathing deep. Clumsily, he started to mimic Dr. Wentworth. He ordered cookbooks through his assistant and personally attacked soup recipes, almost burned the kitchen down. He snapped a picture of the blackened mystery in the pot and messaged me. Serena, I made soup for you. Can I bring it over? The message sank without a ripple, no reply. He turned up at my studio offering to help and my staff politely escorted him out. Mr. Cross, sorry, back kitchen, no outsiders. For the first time he was barred from my world. Daily he sent flowers, gifts, anything he thought might please me. Every single item was returned. All his courting, all his soft surrender, became a punchline in my eyes. Chase dropped by, took in the mountain of printouts about me and the snacks I loved, and gaped. Adrian, are you serious? Adrian said nothing, just swallowed a mouthful of booze, scare scarlet. Chase exhaled and held out his phone. Look. On the screen was my latest Instagram post. I'd changed the cover to a picture of us. In it I leaned on Dr. Wentworth's shoulder, brows curved in a smile, happy as a kid who'd never tasted hurt. Dr. Wentworth looked down at me, eyes drowning in fondness. That smile, that gaze, Adrian had never seen them aimed his way. Below the shot ran a tiny caption. The one. Adrian's breathing stopped dead. He glared at the image, heart pulverized by an invisible fist. Clang. The tumbler slipped from his fingers and shattered across the floor. He broke completely. Chapter 10, Break. Inevitably, Adrian and I collided again at a mutual friend's wedding. I was the bride's bridesmaid. He, the groom's most valued guest. The moment I stepped into the grand ballroom in a pale purple bridesmaid gown on the bride's arm, my gaze landed on him. He sat at the head table, his handsome face expressionless, but those deep eyes were like hooks dipped in poison, locking onto me and never letting go. I kept my gaze straight ahead, pretending I hadn't seen. When the ceremony ended, I changed out of my gown and prepared to leave. Dr. Wentworth came to pick me up. Today he, too, was dressed more formally than usual, an impeccably tailored dark suit that made him look even taller, steadier, gentle, and refined. He took my hand as naturally as breathing, smiled at me, and said, "Tired?" Let's go home. The word home rolled off his tongue with complete ease. I nodded, letting him lead me outside. Serena. Adrian came after me, reeking of booze, grabbed my wrist from behind. His grip was brutal, as if he meant to grind my bones to powder. Don't you dare leave, he snarled, eyes bloodshot. Every guest in the grand ballroom pivoted toward us. I tried to yank free in disgust, but he only clutched tighter. Serena, just talk to me, one sentence, that's all, he begged. Quinn, have you lost your damn mind? Let go. I snapped. Dr. Wentworth's face darkened. He stepped forward, clamped a hand around Adrian's wrist, voice like ice. Morgan, let her go. Who the hell are you? Get lost. Adrian lost it completely, swinging a fist at Dr. Wentworth. For a moment chaos erupted. Then Dr. Wentworth did something no one expected. He didn't strike back. He coolly sidestepped the punch, and, under every staring eye, drew a small black velvet box from his jacket pocket. Looking at me, his usually smiling eyes now brimmed with solemn tenderness. He dropped to one knee. Gasps swept the room. Adrian froze mid-lunge, a fool carved in stone. Dr. Wentworth opened the box. Inside lay a dazzling solitaire ring. Tilting his head up, he spoke, gentle and unwavering. Serena, I never want you harassed again, never want you to suffer the slightest wrong. I want to give you a home, a harbor that will always shield you from wind and rain. Will you marry me? Tears flooded my eyes instantly. I looked at him, at the sincerity and love shining there, then at Adrian, disheveled, stunned. Heaven and hell truly are separated by a single thread. Amid the collective intake of breath and Adrian's shattering stare, I nodded with all my strength, tears on my lashes. Yes, Adrian, beneath every pitying gaze, became the most pitiful, most ridiculous joke of all. Chapter 11, Retribution. Dr. Wentworth's public proposal swept through the city like a hurricane. Adrian found himself at the deadly calm center, the biggest laughingstock of the storm. The composure and icy control he prided himself on collapsed that day. He left the wedding ceremony hollow-eyed and locked himself away. Booze became his only companion. His unraveling spilled straight into his work. During a crucial overseas takeover bid, nursing a hangover and a fractured mind, he made a catastrophic misstep in the boardroom. One bad call cost the company billions and nearly shook its foundations. The board questioned his competence as never before. Former partners caught the scent of blood and pulled their money, sitting on the sidelines, utterly abandoned. A phrase he'd once assumed could never apply to him now defined his reality. He sat in the vast, empty office, watching the city traffic below, everything blurring in and out of focus. How had it come to this? He had only lost a woman. Why had his entire world caved in along with her? His iPhone lit up with a finance push. Medical wunderkind Dr. Wentworth and dessert queen Serena to wed. Business and art forged the perfect alliance. The photo showed our engagement portrait. I beamed, the diamond on my finger blazing with happiness. That brilliance stabbed Adrian's eyes like shards of glass. Like a madman he swept everything off his desk, pens, files, crashing to the floor. One night of torrential rain. Blind drunk, Adrian let muscle memory steer his car to my apartment building. He never got out. A ghost in the dark, he hid in the shadows and stared up at the familiar window. Warm amber lamplight spilled out. The drapes weren't fully drawn. He saw me in silly rabbit pajamas, standing on tiptoe to knot Liam's tie. Liam bent his head, gazed at me with utter fondness, then pressed a soft kiss to my forehead. Next he scooped me into his arms. I laughed, arms circling his neck. Laughing and kissing, they tumbled onto the couch. The curtains slid shut. That cozy glow, that unbearable tableau, was the sharpest blade, severing Adrian's last thread of sanity. He couldn't hold on any longer. Chapter 12, The Period. Adrian erupted from the car like a rabid animal. Soaked to the bone, he stumbled into the lobby and hammered on my door. Boom. 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 In the hushed corridor the sound was monstrous. Serena. Open up. Serena. He roared and sobbed, a child the world had thrown away. The door opened. Liam stood there in loungewear, calm, brow slightly knit. I peeked out from behind him. At the wreck of Adrian, my eyes held no ripple. I couldn't even be bothered to feel disgust. Mr. Cross, is something wrong? I asked, voice as flat as if addressing a stranger. At the sound of my voice, Quinn crumbled. He dropped to his knees on the cold tiles with a thud. Rainwater dripped from his hair, mixing with the tears spilling from bloodshot eyes. Serena. I was wrong. He wept like a child, voice shredded. I was so wrong, don't marry him, please. Give me one more chance. I can't live without you, I can't. I looked at him. At this man who had once stood aloof and untouchable, now on his knees like a stray dog, begging my forgiveness. Suddenly it all felt pointless. I smiled faintly. I wiggled the radiant solitaire on my finger right in front of his face. Then I turned, linked my arm through Liam's, rested my head on his shoulder, and said in a voice only the three of us could hear, "Sweetheart, let's close the door. There's a dog barking outside, so noisy." Liam stroked my hair with tender affection. All right. The door slid shut, slow and merciless, cutting off Adrian's despair, severing the 6 years too late remorse on the other side. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with friends. We look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe for more wonderful stories. See you next time.